everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. After our playthroughs of Gaia Project, and what else did we play yesterday? Target for Today, we tried that again. We're going back to the air war in World War II Europe. This time we're playing Interceptor Ace from Compass Games. This is a game that's based on Night Fighter Ace, which looks to be a daytime version, as you can see by the title, Daylight Air Defense over Germany. Admittedly, I haven't played Compass Ace yet off the channel, but it looks to be similar enough to Night Fighter Ace, where I'm comfortable enough with that game that I feel okay bringing this on the channel and doing essentially a learning playthrough first time through. But before we get into that, we of course need a pilot, so let's go ahead and set up our pilot. We've got a chart here of our starting unit and base, our starting unit, base, and bases, along with our start date. Our start date to determine when we're starting into this campaign. So it'll be based on a D20 roll, which I've got in my dice cup, and I've got my tower and shot. So let's see what our assigned unit's going to be. That's a natural 20, which doesn't, of course, mean anything in this game. So a 20 says we'll be in unit I/ZG26. We'll be flying in a BF-110G2. Based in Munster. And starting in October 43. So we're coming in late. Setting up the log sheet. So we'll flip that over to October 1943. There's my logbook. So it looks like we're going to have a fairly short career from the looks of it. Let's see here. I'll transfer all this stuff to the other side. BF-110 G2. Next night. I/ZG26. Munster. And here's my start date of October 1943. Let me finish getting everything set up here. I believe we'll need those. Let's see. There should be a separate. I'm going to shut the camera off so I can finish setting up. But when we come back, we'll be over at the main game area. I was just looking over the rule book real quick. It looks like it's fairly straightforward, but I'm going to be in the rule book a lot. I'm based in Munster. I've got all that set up here. My wingman's present down here. So I think we're ready to get into this first sortie. So let's jump into October 1943 for our first sortie. For October 1943, we're rolling on our raid chart to determine where the Allies are trying to bomb this time. That's a 10, so they're after they're after Emden and Bremen. Bremen being the target zone. The weather there. Weather's good weather. And we need a D10 to determine what our target bomber is for this encounter. That's a D10 roll. Our target bomber is the B-17F. With a P-47 fighter escort. And I'm going to switch out this pen. That one can actually hit the bin. Okay, so think now that we've rolled for our target, now we move to the raid box. So now we're moving our craft. We're based in Munster, and they're going for Bremen. So we're only going to have 2 units. We're only going to have 2 sorties, or 2 raid endurance boxes there. Might be a little bit hard to see here, but as we zoom in, we'd see that if we were in one of the first two raid boxes, they would have dropped their bombs already. Or they would still have their bombs in, so we could destroy it with a lucky shot. I think third or later means they might have taken some damage from anti-air during the previous raid. You just double check that. Yes. Okay, so there are not still bombs on board, as I mentioned. Okay, so we do have, so we're going to be rolling for interception. I've actually got my chart over here for that. So let's see, that'll be a 2d6 roll. All right, that's a roll of a 10. So, oh boy, we have a Spitfire encounter and we're head on. That's a problem. All right, so we need I believe there's a fighter target chart here. Bomber. I'm going to look to see if there's a fighter target chart, but I'm pretty sure there is. When we come back, we'll have that encounter all set to go. Okay, so I did manage to find the fighter target chart, and we do have the Spitfire down here, which is what we'll be using for that. So we also have to designate an aim point to start with. So this is round 1 aim. Do we have any restrictions on if we're head on? I don't think so. I think it just says where we can aim. So I think for first round, we'll aim at the airframe. Which means we'll be flipping a card over, similar to in Night Fighter Ace, we'll be using the lowest firepower. So I'll be firing with all of my forward guns based on a firepower of 18. So we'll use the leftmost column we're able to clear on that. 16 is the furthest we're able to get, so that'll be a group point hit plus 1. So we were aiming at the airframe, which gives us a controls hit. Takes out their agility. Airframe. A gunner hit, which we'll have to roll. Treat as no effect against fighters. Okay, so we'll have to roll for, I believe we'll also have to roll for 2 random hits. I'll take care of that in a second once I finish making my notes here. I gotta make a note here. Actually, I'm filling out my log as well. We're against so this one's a Spitfire. They're throwing us right to the wolves on this one. So we got our controls, airframe, the gunner was no hit, and we have to roll for 2 random hits. I believe we have fighter damage chart right here, which will be our 2d6 and combined like we've done with other games by Gregory M. Smith. As usual, we'll be using black d6 for 10s, white d6 for 1s. .46 is the forward guns on the Spitfire are damaged. Which is, wait a minute, that can't be right. Okay, I've got to look at how Spitfires. Probably be treated as minor damage since they don't have forward guns to hit somehow. That doesn't make any sense though. But apparently okay. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how the two aircraft roll for initiative on the initiative chart as part. Okay, so I'm going to treat that one as minor damage as well, which still doesn't completely make sense, but and then our last hit is a 56 rear guns, which is also going to end up being minor damage. As for the Spitfire, it flips over. So it looks like that they flip over a card as well, and probably read from the same section for the okay. Looks like we flip over the combat card for the probably for the defensive hit result. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so we flip the okay, so we flip a card over to see what they're doing with a firepower of 10. So an 8's the closest they get, so they get one hit. Which we'll roll for that. That'll be another 2d6 and combine. That's a 44, which is the WFR GR21, which seems like it's... Is that minor damage against us? Yes. Yep. So... Okay, where's the... There's something about an initiative chart. Oh, here it is. Okay, so at the end of the combat round, both fighters roll 1d6, add current speed, and compare. So the Spitfire speed is a 20, mine is an 18. Actually, do I get a... Actually, I think I get a defensive card that I forgot to roll for, that I forgot to flip. So on defense, barrel roll, I get to avoid 2 hits, but the wingman is shot down. So the wingman, my wingman is absent. So I will be adding, I'll be using the black d6 for my roll, the white for the Spitfire. I'm at a speed of 18, they're at a speed of 20. And I'm just going to make a note here. Alright, rolling for initiative. And the Spitfire is an agile aircraft. That's going to be fun. Well, we might have got away with one there. I've got a speed of 18 plus 5 is 23. They're 20 plus 2 for agile is 22 plus 1 is 23, so no change. Which means we're still head on. So... I think I'm just going to attack again for round 2. And I'm going to stick with aiming at the airframe. And I flip a card first. So my first card, I'll be using all my forward guns once again at a firepower of 18. I'll get to deal 5 hits, assuming that there's no defense here for the Spitfire. Flipping over a defensive card for the Spitfire. Says, doesn't look like we don't get to reduce any hits, so 5 hits on the Spitfire on the airframe. So actually this is 5 random hits. So we'll give our D6 a roll once again. That's a 45, which is a starboard wing hit. That's a good one. So starboard wings damaged. And we've got 4 more hits that we're rolling for. $25 is a port engine hit. Where's the port engine? Okay, so I believe we just have the one engine is what we're going to call that. Third hit. Is a 21. Landing gear, which is minor damage for the Spitfire. Next hit for the Spitfire, or next hit on the Spitfire, I should say. $54, minor damage. And here I thought we were going to have a chance of shooting down the Spitfire. Last hit. Is a 44, which is that same system that WFR 21, which I'm treating as minor damage. Oh, I think we only flip over a defensive card if we went defensive. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so the Spitfire is attacking as well with a firepower of 10. It will score 1 hit. So we'll roll for that on the damage chart. That's a 32, which is minor damage for us. Then we'll roll for initiative. We'll do the same thing we did before. Right, so the Spitfire's actually lost its agility because we managed to hit the engine. Wow, that's a really bad roll for us. So 18 plus 1 is 19, 20 plus 6 is 26, which means the Spitfire is able to gain 2 positions on us. So I believe it ends up to where it's going to be tailing us. I'm just making sure that that's how that works. Each orientation will represent a 90-degree shift in relation to the other plane. So we're head to head, so we're head on, which means the Spitfire improves to tailing us, which is rather problematic for us because the Spitfire is very agile. And I believe now that we're going defensive, I believe now that we're being tailed, we probably want to go defensive here. Which I believe must first decide if he's attacking. Yeah, I think since we're being tailed, we're probably going to... I'm looking at how this works, but I think because we're tailed, and our wingman's been shot down, so we don't have any help there. I think because we're being tailed, we have to go defensive, which I probably would want to do anyway. So I'm just looking here. We're going to use a defensive. We are going to go defensive and hope for a good text on this one. So our defensive card is Scissors to improve by 2. So yeah, that'll help us out, which means we're back to facing head on. Back to my log. Which fortunately loses the tailed advantage for the Spitfire. So the Spitfire is just pulling a standard card on their straight fire power of 10. Yikes, they're scoring 4 hits. Two, three, 4. Rolling on the fighter damage chart once again. That's a 44, which is that W system again, minor damage. Next hit. $56. Rear guns are out, which is also minor damage for us. Third hit. A 13. Starboard wing hit, which is not good for us. Oop, that's damaged. And our last hit. Black die through the tower. That is a 16, which is GM1 boost, which we do have. So I believe that's our signal booster. I'm going to look and see what that does. I'm assuming that just knocks it completely out. Here we go. It does not say what it does on there. Okay, but that was our third round of combat against that Spitfire, so we're all clear of the Spitfire. Now let's bring our plane mat back in shot. Let's see what we're doing with our last interception box of this first sortie. I would not mind the quiet one at all. Well, I could go back and forth on how I'd want this to go. That's a 10. We've got another Spitfire encounter. What? Because the first one is so much fun. And once again, we're head on. So, unfortunately, it's not the same Spitfire, but we need the Spitfire mat right back. We need the fighter mat right back in shot. And we're head on again, once again with the Spitfire. Hopefully we can make this go a lot smoother than our first encounter, but we took a little bit of damage from our first Spitfire encounter, so we're going to be flipping over a card here. First I have to decide what we're doing. I am going to definitely be firing this round, and we're going to aim at the... I think we're going to aim at the airframe again. With our 18 firepower. So we'll be flipping over a card for that. Our card at 18 firepower is a group point hit, and we were aiming at the airframe. So we'll deal with our hits. So aiming at the airframe will be a controls hit. Which loses them their agility right away. Airframe, oh, the engine has also a -2 speed. Airframe, gunners, minor damage. And then we'll roll for 2 random hits. I rolled for the... Oh, that makes more sense. I forgot there was a bomber and group damage chart. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Now that we've got that straight, I'm aiming at the airframe. A 1 is another airframe hit. Maybe we can take this thing out right away. But that makes it a lot more likely that we're actually going to do something with these planes. 5 is another controls hit, which I believe is enough to flatten, which is enough to shoot it down once we resolve the Spitfire's attack. So with a firepower of 10, we didn't go defensive, so the Spitfire will get their full strength on this. They'll be dealing 2 hits. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I knew there wasn't something right with those fighter damage results. But fighter damage for us. First hit is going to be a 42 after dancing around a little bit. That's a port wing hit. And 61, the forward cannon's out. Which means that will be inoperable for the sortie. But fortunately, this actually... I think we can roll for either one. So we'll take odds to take out the ventral tray, even to take out the nose. Odds will take out the ventral tray, which doesn't really matter though, because we had our second encounter with the Spitfire, and once I consulted the right chart, this one we actually managed to shoot down. So that's the end of combat with the Spitfire, because we took out the 2 hits on the control surfaces. So now let's bring the fighter mat back in shot as we're getting ready to land. Okay, the weather as we saw previously moving into our landing zone, we've got good weather, so that won't give us any modifiers on landing. We want to see a 12 or less to land this thing, which should be very doable on 2d6. A 7, yep, we'll have a safe landing. Okay, now that we've got all that straight, that's the end of our mission. So I believe we collect... We don't lose any sorties because we had 4 systems damaged. So 1 kill on our first sortie. I think we can probably do 1 more sortie, so we'll go into October 1943's second sortie. I'm going to finish making my notes in my logbook so I can get ready for this. Weather. And target aircraft. Okay, first thing we need to do is we need to roll for the raid target for our second sortie, and this one's probably going to be the last one for the video. Three means we're going for Anklum in the Bremen target zone once again, so it's going to be another short sortie. Weather this time. Wow, it got poor in a hurry, so we're going to be making our landing at +1. And then we have to roll for our craft target. Our plane target, which will be a 1 to 10. That'll be a 0, so we're looking at a B-17G as our target with a P-47 escort. B-17G. Help if I make notes in the right places. Okay, now that we've got that figured out, now we'll move into our raid box, which is from Munster base. We're going to Bremen. So once again, bombs have already been launched, and they might have taken damage, which I never rolled for that in the last pass. Flak. Okay, 1d6 for each bomber you attack in the third. Okay, so we actually didn't have to worry about that because we were attacking Spitfires. Never mind, we'll see if we have bombers there. But where's our interception chart? It's not there. It's right here. Okay. So we're in the Bremen box. We'll see if we can roll. We'll roll for interception. Let's see what we can roll here. We'll get that D10 out of the tower. 7 means we're head on to the bomber, I believe. Yes, we're coming head on to the bomber, but then okay, so we have a choice here. All right, so we're head on to the bomber. Let's bring the bomber target mad and shot. So I think I did this out of order. I was assuming the way I thought this worked was we rolled for the target aircraft at the start of the raid, but we apparently don't. We roll after we make the interception roll. So we'll attack. So we have to decide if we're attacking the bombers or the fighter escort first. I think we'll go after the bombers first, so we can see if we can get a shot at them, which is why we got the bomber target and shot. So we're rolling here. 9 means we're after the B-17F anyway, so I need that shit. Actually, I've got the B-17 right here. What am I doing? But we are head on to that. So we have to decide if we're starting at... Just making a note. We will have to deal with the escorts after that. Okay. So we'll be starting at, I'll put another placeholder marker there. Since we're in Bremen, we'll be starting at long range. We'll get to fire first. I'm just double checking how this all works. Given that they're still... Okay, we'll actually place the... Yeah, we'll actually start off at long range. So after we deal with the bombers, we'll have to deal with the escorts. So we have 3 rounds of bomber combat. It appears... Yes. So we do have to deal with flak, though, to determine how many hits that the bomber might have taken. So we'll have a D6 for that, because we are in the 4th interception box, so there's possible flak damage. So we're rolling a D6 and subtracting 3. We want this to be high. That's a 5 minus 3 is 2, so they've taken 2 hits already. We'll roll for those on the group damage chart now that I know what I'm actually looking for. Roll these charts as random airframe hits, okay? 5 says they've taken a controls hit. And a 1 says they've taken an airframe hit. Okay. Which means now we get to attack like normal. So each pass is made of up to 3 rounds. So it looks like we get a... This is our Interceptor's card. We'll use our full firepower once again with the forward cannon. So we're total firepower of 18. And, wow, we just managed to flatten it on the spot. So we take out the... So what do we say for the flak hits? Control and airframe. Well, we just managed to flatten the B-17 right on the spot. So we'll circle that, and now we have to deal with the P-47. So, let's bring the fighter map back in shot. Looking at the P-47's firepower, I think going defensive is probably a better idea. So that's what we're going to use on our combat card here. We'll see if there's a good defense option on here. Defense means we do a barrel roll, so we'll avoid 2 hits. All right, let's see what the fighter's drawing for its attack card with a firepower of 12. Uh-oh. A 12 means that we just get destroyed. So for us, which would reduce the hits, but if they're P-47, means the fighter's destroyed, and is there an option to bail out? I guess we're about to find out. I'm just looking here. Roll the bailout, yep. Okay, so where's the bailout? There's a bailout, there should be a bailout chart here somewhere, and now we need to find it. And at that one, not there. There has to be a bailout chart here somewhere, which that is not. Why can I not find it now? Knowing me, it's probably in plain sight, and I'm just not seeing it. Aircraft target chart. Oh, it looks like I needed the position chart for that, probably. Well, it didn't really matter. We flattened the... It's not here. It wouldn't be on the... It's not there. Where in the world is that bailout chart? It's got to be here somewhere. Maybe it's in the book. I'm going to pause the video so I can look for this bailout chart. I'll be right back. Okay, so it was the parachute chart that I'm looking for, which means we get to see if we parachute to safety. And if we take damage while doing so. So we'd have modifiers on that, but right now we don't have any modifiers, fortunately. So this is just a straight roll. So a 1 says we safely parachute, but by parachuting we're going to lose a sortie while we get back to base and get a new craft. So that will end up cutting that sortie short, but that will do it for this playthrough of Interceptor Ace. I'm going to apologize in advance for how rough this video was. Normally I play these games a few times before they get to the channel, but I kind of wanted to get this one out and start learning it a bit, since it seemed familiar enough to Night Fighter Ace and some of the other games in this universe that I thought I'd be able to pick it up pretty quickly. I seem to be picking it up okay so far, and I do enjoy the narrative part of it. I don't know how much I like the transitioning between the bomber and the fighter combat. I imagine that'll come with more practice, but I'll talk about that more during the end of December recap, which is still coming. It's quite a while away yet, but I'm rambling now, so let's wrap this video up. Later this afternoon, I'm expecting at least 2 videos to go up. I'm expecting Mystical Munchies to go up later this afternoon with the dessert, Papanazi, which looks like it's going to be donuts. And then after that, well, the other video I'm expecting to put up today is a playthrough of Age of Innovation from Pure Land Spiel. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.